Amy was a woman like any other. She had friends, a loving family, and a life full of promise. But all that changed when she turned 30. The world as she knew it twisted, warped into something sinister and terrifying. It started subtly, whispers at the edge of her awareness, shadows flitting at the corner of her eye. Then the whispers became voices, distinct and chillingly real. The shadows solidified, taking on grotesque, inhuman forms. They were in her home, in her car, everywhere she went. There was no escape. Fear became her constant companion. It clung to her like a shroud, suffocating her, stealing her breath. She tried to ignore them, to pretend they weren't real, but the entities had other plans. They wanted to be seen, heard, felt. They craved her terror. Night after night, the voices grew louder, more insistent. They taunted her, threatened her, told her she was theirs. The shadowy figures grew bolder, their forms becoming clearer, more defined. They were grotesque mockeries of men, their eyes burning with an unholy light. Amy was trapped, alone in her own personal nightmare. Sleep, once a sanctuary, became Amy's worst enemy. As darkness fell, the true horror began. The shadowy figures, no longer content with lurking at the edges of her vision, materialized fully in her bedroom. They surrounded her bed, their eyes glowing with malevolent amusement. She would lie there paralyzed with fear as they closed in. One would grab her, his touch icy cold, his grip inescapable. He would hold her down, pinning her to the bed with unnatural strength. The others would take their turns, assaulting her, violating her in ways that made her skin crawl. Their touch was like fire and ice, searing pain mixed with a bone-chilling cold. Every night, the same horrific ritual played out. Every night, Amy would scream for help, her pleas echoing unheard in the darkness. She prayed, begging for a God she wasn't sure she believed in to save her, but her prayers only seemed to amuse her tormentors. They would laugh, their voices filled with cruel delight as they continued their assault. Amy was trapped in a waking nightmare, her body and mind violated night after night. Desperate for help, Amy confided in her family. She told them about the voices, the figures, the nightly assaults. But her words were met with disbelief, their eyes filled with concern that quickly morphed into pity. How could she blame them? Her story was the stuff of nightmares, the ramblings of a fractured mind. They urged her to see a doctor or a psychiatrist, anyone who might be able to explain what was happening to her, but doctors found nothing physically wrong. Psychiatrists offered diagnoses, words like hallucinations and delusions that did nothing to ease her terror. They prescribed medication, but the pills did nothing to silence the voices or banish the shadowy figures that haunted her every waking moment. As the weeks turned into months, Amy retreated further into herself. She stopped talking about the entities, knowing that her words would only be met with doubt and fear. Silence became her only defense, a fragile shield against a world that refused to believe her truth. But silence offered no solace, no escape from the horrors that unfolded every night in the darkness of her own bedroom. Years passed, and Amy's life became a waking nightmare. The nightly assaults continued unabated. The entities, emboldened by her silence, grew more brazen in their torment. They were no longer content to confine their abuse to the night. They followed her everywhere, whispering obscenities in her ear, brushing against her with icy fingers. They reveled in her terror, feeding off her despair. The constant fear and anxiety took a toll on Amy's body and mind. She was a shadow of her former self, haunted, exhausted, and broken. Sleep, once a refuge, was now a source of dread. Food lost its flavor, the world its vibrancy. She was adrift in a sea of despair, clinging to the wreckage of her former life. The physical sensations of the assaults lingered long after the entities retreated to the shadows. Aches, pains, and bruises marked her body, a constant reminder of the nightly violations. The doctors were baffled, unable to explain the marks that appeared without reason, then faded just as quickly. But Amy knew the truth. Her body bore the scars of the unseen, a testament to the horrors she endured. One night, as Amy lay in bed, dreading the inevitable assault, a new voice cut through the darkness. It was different from the others, softer, kinder, filled with a strange sense of urgency. It spoke of hope, of a way out of her personal hell. The voice told her to be unpredictable. It told her to fight back, not with physical force, but with something far more powerful, faith. At first, Amy resisted. Years of torment had left her numb, her spirit crushed. She had prayed, begged for deliverance, but her pleas had gone unanswered. What good was faith now after all this time? But the voice persisted, urging her to find strength in something greater than herself. Desperate, clinging to this sliver of hope, Amy decided to trust the voice. She dug out her grandmother's dusty Bible, its pages brittle with age. As she opened it, a sense of peace washed over her, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years. It was a fragile thing, easily shattered, but it was enough to give her the courage to continue. The power of faith, clinging to the Word. Amy began to read the Bible every day, her voice a hesitant whisper at first, then growing stronger with each passing day. She immersed herself in the stories of faith, of hope, of miraculous deliverance. She clung to the words like a lifeline, drawing strength and comfort from their ancient wisdom. She started praying again, not out of fear, but out of a growing sense of hope. She prayed for strength, for guidance, for deliverance from the entities that had tormented her for so long. She prayed for the faith to believe that even in the darkest of times, a glimmer of light remained. The entities mocked her newfound faith, their laughter echoing through her mind. They told her it was useless, that she was theirs, body and soul, but their words no longer held the same power over her. Amy's faith, fueled by the words of the Bible and the power of prayer, was a shield against their darkness. The shadow of doubt. Can faith truly conquer? Despite her newfound faith, doubts still lingered in the back of Amy's mind. Had the voice been real, or just another cruel trick played by her tormentors? Was she truly getting stronger? Or was this just another phase, another false dawn before the darkness descended once more? The entities sensed her doubt, and they pressed their advantage. The attacks intensified, their touch more violating, their laughter more cruel. They whispered doubts in her ear, trying to erode the fragile foundation of her faith. They told her she was foolish to believe in fairy tales, in a god who had abandoned her to her fate. One night, the assault was particularly brutal. As Amy lay there, her body racked with pain, tears streaming down her face, she almost gave in to despair. She almost believed the entity's lies, almost surrendered to the darkness that threatened to consume her. Deliverance, the silence after the storm. But then she remembered the words she'd read in the Bible. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. She clung to those words, repeating them over and over like a mantra. As she prayed, a surge of power coursed through her, a power unlike anything she had ever felt before. It filled her with a sense of peace, of certainty, of unwavering faith. The entities recoiled as if burned, their laughter turning to shrieks of rage and frustration. They lashed out, but their attacks were weaker, their touch lacking its usual potency. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the attack ceased. The entities vanished, their presence extinguished as if they had never been. Silence descended upon the room, a profound, almost deafening silence. Amy lay there for a long moment, her body still trembling, her mind struggling to comprehend what had just transpired. She got out of bed and fell to her knees, tears of gratitude streaming down her face. She had been delivered. Amy's legacy, finding hope in the darkness. The entities never returned. The voices that had haunted her for so long were silenced. The nightmares that had plagued her sleep were gone. Amy was free. She emerged from the darkness, a changed woman, her spirit forged in the fires of adversity. The experience left its scars, both physical and emotional, but it also left her with an unshakable faith and a profound sense of gratitude for the gift of life. Amy's story is a testament to the power of faith, the resilience of the human spirit, and the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, hope remains. It is a reminder that we are not alone in our struggles, that there are forces beyond our comprehension that can help us overcome even the most daunting challenges. Amy's journey is a beacon of hope for anyone who has ever felt lost, alone, or afraid. It is a powerful reminder that even in the face of unimaginable darkness, light will always find a way through.